Parsha Yitro contains one of the most significant passages of the Torah, the giving of the SAR HS. Knowing this, one might assume the Parsha would jump right into the details of the preparation to receive the Ten Commandments. Yet, unexpectedly, the Parsha opens instead with the story of a visit to Moshe by his father-in-law Yitro. After Yitro hears about the miracles performed by God on behalf of Am Yisrael, he says, "Atay yadati ki gadol Adonai mikol ha'elohim." Now I know that the Lord is greater than all gods, and he offers a korban to Hashem. A little later, Yitro observes Moshe presiding over a large load of disputes and offers his help by suggesting a system that will allow him to delegate some of his judicial responsibilities. Then Yitro leaves, and the Parsha moves on to Har Sinai. This encounter is seemingly unconnected to Ma'amad Har Sinai. It's not clear whether this story is chronologically accurate, and the Mefarshim have dissenting opinions. Ramban says the chapter preceded Matan Torah, Ibn Ezra asserts that these events transpired after Matan Torah, and Rashi divides the Parsha into two, placing Yitro's arrival before Matan Torah and the story of the judges after Matan Torah. If there's a chance that this story is not chronological, then why place it here? Rav Alex Israel offers some ideas to answer this question. He describes this as a very human Parsha. He says that in the first half of the Parsha, Yitro hears. He comes to visit having heard reports about the miracles performed in Yetziat Mitzrayim. He does not come with an agenda. He comes as a family member. He rejoices in the salvation of Am Yisrael. He offers personal sacrifices as a blessing to God. Our Parsha opens with actions by man, not God. In the second section, Yitro's advice is also a section about actions by man. As Rav Israel puts it, Yitro's advice is of common sense, intuition, and management skills, level-headed human advice. Rav Israel suggests that this human encounter with Yitro is precisely the reason why the story proceeds and stands in contrast with the encounter at Har Sinai. The scenario of revelation is one of awe and greatness. Miracles are performed in front of Bnei Yisrael's eyes. It is a stage set by God. In the aftermath of such an event, how does Am Yisrael move forward? The divine law given at Har Sinai is perfect. How then do Am Yisrael begin applying it to their everyday lives? It is the seemingly simple story of Yitro from the beginning of the Parsha that is meant to teach how to go on after such an event, and it does so with two important pieces of information. Firstly, Yitro is an outsider. He did not experience Yetziat Mitzrayim, nor will he experience Ma'amad Har Sinai firsthand, yet he comes to recognize God's greatness on his own through thinking about and processing what he hears. This is an intellectual rather than an emotional realization. And the second thing we learn from Yitro is that he sees a problem and he addresses it. He comes up with efficient solutions on his own. He shows us that human intellect does have something to add, that it's possible to contribute on our own. It's not just Moshe, the one who has a direct channel to God, who can judge, but anyone who is honest, humble, and committed to justice can do the same. What an empowering notion. It is these two lessons that enable us to move forward into a reality without divine revelation. After such a powerful experience as Ma'amad Har Sinai, we cannot allow ourselves to be paralyzed by the awesome nature of direct revelation, but we must accept that the Torah was given to man to understand, to interpret, and to judge from. Even someone who didn't experience revelation firsthand can still come to the same belief that such an event inspires, and they can still participate in a living Torah. Rabbi Shaul Robinson of Lincoln Square Synagogue once told a story about a great mathematician. When this mathematician was a graduate student, he arrived late to one of his classes and found some math problems written on the blackboard. He copied them down, assuming they were homework. He struggled over the problems, apologizing to his professor for turning them in late when he finally finished the work. He found out later that the problems were not in fact a homework assignment, but rather examples that had been placed on the board of impossible problems that nobody had been able to solve. Rabbi Robinson asked, "How did the mathematician solve the problems?" The answer is that nobody had told him that the problems were considered impossible. He approached them with an open mind and a belief that they were solvable, and it was that mindset that made all the difference. Rather than be intimidated by the story of Har Sinai, rather than allow it to stand as the moment from which nothing will ever be as great again, we should view Yitro as a counterbalance. His straightforward, open-minded approach can serve for us as a model of how to balance divine revelation with our own reasoning and human initiative. Shabbat Shalom.